What is that framework or that perspective? What does that do for you in the now?
I think on one level, it sort of helps with this feeling of loneliness or alienation that we all feel inside of this kind of feudalism project that we're still inside of. You know, it's like we were all humans existed because of collectivism, right? Like, and collectivism is an extremely different social setup than what we have now. You know, it's like the precursor to ideas like socialism and communism is this kind of collective animism where you're just all related and you're just in this, you know, you're hunting and gathering and you're with the cycles of nature intimately, and you're also with each other intimately in this very particular way. And I think we seem to be very far removed from that, and that produces these epidemics of loneliness, right? These epidemics of just like coping mechanisms after coping mechanism, right? And so for me, the practice of feeling into that overlay somewhat alleviates this kind of extra effect of living in capitalist hellscape, which is competition and loneliness and like feeling like you have to pay for help all the time. Like there's no, you know what I mean? Like these feelings that are just really real. They're not made up. So on one level, I think selfishly, it helps me cope with basic things like anxiety, depression, loneliness, isolation. On one level, it helps me cope. On another level, it helps me actually practice, which is different than like this day-to-day coping thing that is slightly more pedestrian and kind of like despairing, you know, like, oh, I'm just a human being and I have to do all this practice in order to be saved or whatever, you know, this idea that we have. It brings everything into an immediacy. The same way that happens when you listen to music, it's immediately there. You don't have to understand music to have an immediate effect of music, right? And so it's like that. It's like just putting on the song, whatever that is. And then you just feel that song, not intellectually, you feel it. And you're like, oh, this is changing my state in some way. And then I can do other maybe more advanced or difficult forms of practice because I like primed the system up a little bit. It's like, oh, what do I need first? I need a drink of water. Okay, now what do I need to do? You bring yourself up to this kind of like boiling point or the simmering point where actually the fundamental nature of the water changes, right? And then you can do things with that change. Now you can cook food. Okay. You can't cook food in you know, like it's just tepid water. It's going to get, nothing's going to happen. But somehow you boil that water and you can cook food in it. It's like amazing. It's similar to that. We are that cauldron, and the song of reality, once we put it on, it starts to heat up the water. And then we can cook. And whatever that means is a good metaphor.